We're talking about Ayaka today, or other characters on a tier list, because I really just want to continue off of what I was talking about in the last video, as I fix my positioning on my setup, but Goizo 7th Curse character, Goizo 7th Curse, and then switch everything. That's how I need to remember things. We'll go to the timestamp, because otherwise I won't remember. Goizo 7th Curse, and yeah, we'll move a character over, and if anything crashes, just remember that I did a thing. Hold on, I'm actually almost forgetting. Okay, Goizo. So as we actually get into Goizo 7th Curse, random item stats, 3 custom mysteries, and a custom character. Again, we've played pretty much every custom character that you'll likely see in this series before, unless new ones come out, but that'll happen at the later part of the series. But we want to talk about the base characters, Dexterity, Taxi-san, Charisma, Light, second mystery, also knowledge check. I also need to get better at not doing what I just I did a lot of in the last video, and I felt like I was getting better over the years, and that was not the case. I did it again, but anywho. Also going over this character's own perk stuff, so I think we start with Book of Gore, we get an inspiring novel, 2 strength, 4 dexterity, 7 perception, 7 knowledge, 5 charisma. I don't know how much luck we have, but hey, and then actually let's take a look at our mystery. There's a time to stutter and but this is not one of them. And yes, it would help, I should have used the library notes first. It would help out to stop and breathe and think, because some moments of silence are not bad. Probably better than just blubbering on saying nothing, but that's part of the skill set too, to figure out what you're doing. Festival, Botanist, or what you want to say. Story, Salt Shrine, and Shuttle of Thinking. Botanist, Festival. So Botanist, Shuttle, Salt Shrine, or Salt Shrine first? No, that leaves Story. We will take Botanist first. Let's hope there's nothing bad in Salt Shrine. Otherwise, I was going to say scream to the creator, but I can really only just scream to myself. So we are going to take an Army Knife. And yeah, we'll talk about Ayaka in a moment, because I need to remember things. We are going to reroll here until we get the Army Knife. Even if it does 4 damage, Army Knife. And you've noticed, if nothing else, really quickly, I have not been choosing the hardware store lately. I feel like we have a lot of perception characters. Otherwise, I end up using Ally Attack, but hey, we're going to open up these funds as well. We have the Doom to do so. An extra library, extra wooden bat. I was using the library notes, that's why I said it. But yeah, extra wooden bat would help, and off we go. So we'll save the inspiring novel for story, because there are a lot of forced encounters there. So, and they all do all damage. So hey. But yeah, Ayaka, again, I will never argue. If you want to say Ayaka's the best character, in short, I'm not gonna. In short, if you want to say Ayaka's the best character, I'm not gonna argue. But I do have things to point out if you were to say such a thing, basically. Mainly that there are bad RNG moments, which doesn't help Taxi-san, or not Taxi, Toshiaki either. But if you're comparing, oh, nice 12 roll, by the way, game. My perception! If we're comparing the top 3 characters, in my opinion, with Aiko, and then if you want to include Kana from the last episode as well, then yeah, I mean, you might want to put Kana up there, and then you might also want to put Aiko up there as well. Aiko's just available. We're not even including the fact that you start off with Aiko relatively early on in your World of Horror gameplay experience, but there are less things, again, and we're looking at all kinds of runs, whether it's Eldritch Parasite, Zektast, Azal, Fatalist, Old Gods Forbid, because you might not be able to visit the History Club and immediately get Blood Mania. I think there are other consistent strategies with Ayaka, but usually when I think of Ayaka, I think of History Clubbing first. And then 50% of the time, theoretically speaking, you'll get an all perks run, because I like to hit random quick play. If that's not the case, then I mean, theoretically speaking, you could just 7th Curse Haru the whole way through, like it. And I mentioned Haru because Haru is the character I have the most experience with. At least in this update where, yeah, you just end up getting 7th Curse, you either tree for 4 funds, or you prepare for 4 funds, and then you have enough cigarettes for the entire run because you have a cigarette case. That's why you would theoretically use the best backstory and or old god for each character. That's why I like hitting quick play random to throw some things into the mix. Now, if you want to go down that path of setting up a run for a character, then sure, we can talk about that, but that's a whole other video in itself. And in fact, I haven't really thought too much about each character's best old god backstory combination, but after some thought, it shouldn't be too hard to figure out, is what I'm trying to say. Did I take the figurine, by the way? I did. Anywho. So let's take Shuttle next. We'll take Story third, so we're as prepared as possible, because I don't know the character's perk packs. On this character, however, you can also run Occult Shop. I just chose not to. A brick would be nice, but we're just going to grab a pick of cigarettes. They cost 3 funds. You know what we're going to do with that? We're going to grab hopefully not another hallucination. No! Why did I say that? I better not lose this recording, just to prove the point, but of my RNG. But that's another part of why I dislike Ayaka more, subjectively. Because, yeah, you just get bad RNG, and now I'm just sitting... Yeah, Blood Mania is probably worth 40% Doom at the very start of your run, but it's... And that's Doom you could avoid. But I'll also never argue, because I like to put... I do have a personal bias towards playing Toshiaki gameplay-wise, that you just get Frostbite and die immediately. But that happens like 1 in 20 runs for me. If even that. So yeah. And then you can take measures to avoid pain like that, but hey. I'm looking at those 2 hallucination stacks and I'm just really, really sad. But we don't need to use these cigarettes until pretty much story. And then we'll pop the inspiring novel as well, but let's see what we get. Because otherwise, I think I'm just going to take strength. Just so I can even brace. So yeah, that's 1 Doom. Alright then. So we do get perception. My Weird Collection is a big gotcha, so we'll just strength instead. And get perception as well. Basically refunding our own perception, because, man, pain. So I think we just take this and move on with life. If we fight this enemy, we still won't pop the cigarettes. It's kind of important that we save these as much as possible. I feel. But as we move on here... And there are other things to talk about, I just can't think about them at the moment, because I'm trying not to die. For Ayaka, if we're gonna talk more about Ayaka. But for the moment, let's actually focus on surviving. We don't need to smoke the second pack of cigarettes now, but we will take story next. If there's anything to learn in this video, it's that if you're playing with this specific custom mystery, you're gonna be in a lot of pain for encounters, unless like you're Kana with Mind Drain and or Ghostly Spear. Unless you are Ayaka with 6 curses and Blood Mania, you might take some all damage, really only -1 all damage. I forgot to smoke the cigarettes here, but we can, I think we still 1-shot, or 2-shot this enemy. So I don't actually mind. And I do want to lose some stamina, as funny as that sounds to say. So let's do that. I would have liked to trade stamina for reason, but that's fine too. Is every single... no, it can't be. And I was about to say, is every single investigation an encounter? No. So we'll wait until the next one. I really need to focus here for a moment, so let me just pause my little talk about Ayaka for a moment. I also didn't use the police station. We'll use it now. I don't remember what my other threat... I'm just going to say forest. I guess, well, the forest was at max or high threat level, so considering we're going to festivals soon as we smoke this pack of cigarettes, yeah, let's find out. Is this... no, this is just a human enemy. I say just. Look how much damage it's doing. But... I think I'd rather brace. I think I can brace comfortably. No, I can't. 3 strength. 75%. We'll go for it. If there's anything else to say about Ayaka at the moment, it's that as we throw this brick... Oh, I was supposed to pop the inspiring novel. Well, too late now. Well, it's not too late. We still want to pop it, probably. Yeah, let's pop it. And off we go. But the other thing I was going to say is that you can't handcuff these enemies really quick. But anywho, when you get Blood Mania, you're taking a lot less damage. I would say even at least 50% less damage. But hey, I think we just one-shot this thing, unless we just miss a whole bunch. Never mind, I needed to hit all 3 of those, because I can't math at the moment. We're only losing 1 stamina. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't be as lax and lenient as I am, but hey. We got experience from somewhere, by the way. Anywho. So, we can't comfortably brace as much here, but we can throw a wooden bat and 2-shot this. Again, it's really, really important to 2-shot ghost encounters if you can, or ritual them turn 1, but you get the point. And from another perspective, that's also a good thing to think about. The fact that, like, I always gripe about the ritual, but essentially you're usually trying to 2-turn ghost enemies. If you can't 2-turn ghost enemies with Sever, specifically, that's what I'm talking about here. If you can't 2-turn with Sever actions, then you do run into an issue, and Ghost Ritual is better. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to take damage from Ghost Ritual, which is something I've complained about, then you might as well... It's similar to a 2-turn when you're severing, theoretically speaking. So you can get extra Ghost experience from the ritual, and that's good if you're going to just 2-turn sever anyway. But my whole gripe is that, or the main gripe here is that you are trying to find the ghost ritual anyway. Oh, do we want to gamble here? 95% twice. Let's go for it. This is the risk we take for today. And off we go. We get a lot of experience, but man, you take a lot of pain in return. Also, keep in mind, we're at near to 60% Doom going into our 4th Mystery, which is still on par, but... whereas, again, let's rewind back to talking about Ayaka for a minute. Ayaka would probably be at, like, 50% Doom, if even that, with more stamina and reason, so don't let it be said that I ever looked down on Ayaka. In fact, again, for those who don't know, I put Ayaka above Toshiaki in my attempt to be more objective tier list. Although on my subjective tier list, or if RNG is bad, I say Toshiaki is better. And a big part of that, we have 8 luck, but the game rolled a 9+1 modifier. A big part of that is that I feel like you take a lot of Doom damage on Harbinger of Doom. Because nice flashbacks, by the way. Do I want to get rid of that? We're just gonna stick with it. I don't want any more Doom. A big part of Toshiaki's consistency, in my opinion, on Harbinger of Doom difficulty with base game is that, yeah, you take a lot more Doom, and there's the difference between difficulties. Again, True Believer, Doom decreases by 1 at the end of every mystery, but you also, as we roll an 11 here, you also have an extra max threat level location, which is 1 Doom, which is something I didn't, for some reason, I don't think I mentioned in my tier list stream, but you take an extra point of Doom for investigating a max threat level location. Even if you're in a mystery like here, you're in Festival, threat level still hit you in the face, because otherwise penalty damage wouldn't exist, and that would be weird. But I think you get what I'm trying to get at here. You're taking a lot more than just, oh, you know, Doom doesn't decrease by 5 overall compared to True Believer. No, you're also taking you're taking an average amount of Doom that is significant in your run. I feel, anyway. Why am I doing that, by the way? I'm going crazy. I'm autopiloting. That's what I'm doing. So, and there's something else to say, but off the top of there are other things to say, but off the top of my mind, if we're looking at Doom, I value Toshiaki more because you are less likely to zero stat than you are to just take a bunch of Doom left, right, and center. And that Doom also helps out indirectly with other things like, hold on, let me focus for a moment. I think we just run here. Yeah, we just run here. As much as I would like the Spiral Hood, no. Toshiaki has extra Doom. Theoretically, Ayaka does too, but Ayaka has to get her Doom effigy perk to help matters. And it's nowhere near as much as 50 Doom that Toshiaki gets. Did I take a third mystery bath? I did take a third custom. Yeah, I did. It was story. But as we get into Soul Shrine here, Toshiaki has 50% extra Doom to work with over the course of the whole run. 10%, really specifically 10% Doom after every mystery. But essentially what I'm trying to say is that Toshiaki can comfortably get a weapon just by preparing without risking curses, which would not be great, because if you try to get a curse, or if you try to get funds through curses, you could just get flashbacks twice and die. You could get a lot of bad curses and slowly get closer to zero statting and die. And unlike Ayaka, again, this is the negative towards Toshiaki. Unlike Ayaka, Ayaka has Eldritch Possession, so in essence, she shouldn't need to worry about zero statting, but there is a danger of still zero statting as Ayaka. Do I even want to fight this? We have Book of Gore, but I don't know. Well, our Doom is quite low, though, so I think I just take this 4 stamina in the face. I don't want to, but we're taking 2 stamina anyway, and we're taking a risk if we attempt that. Now, we got bonus damage, but I might be going crazy here. I think there was something I could have done. We get another pair of handcuffs, but that's... yeah. But, let's see here. We'll do Folklore Studies and then recover 2 stamina. I think we have enough cigarettes to last. If we don't, for Takushi-san, we have handcuffs, so close enough, it doesn't matter. 8 knowledge, by the way, thank you. My next question is if we die to stamina in the lighthouse, but I guess we'll see. I could visit the hospital for the painkillers, but I don't want to use up any more doom. So yeah, we'll just get out here. Hopefully we don't get time skipped. If we don't get it, if we don't have it, I think we did. No, we don't. Yeah, we did. So road's closed, but we're at the end of the run, not mystery, run. And off we go. Yeah, not really much to talk about on the topic of Aika. Aiko is just self-explanatory. Aiko is just all-around good. If Aiko is not at least like in the top 20 percentile of your top characters in World of War, I would actually just disagree. I can't assume. Anywho, I'm going crazy. I'm trying to calculate this lighthouse. We do lose pretty much 5 reason. We don't have a light source, and our charisma is below 8. We don't have dexterity. We don't have the strength check. But we do have knowledge, but we don't have the 6th floor. So, we should be able to rest if I really want to. I don't think we need to, though. So off we go. And Takshi-san is early in this lighthouse, even though... No, yeah, it's early. I think if Takshi was on the 6th floor, we would run out of the nicotine rush buff, but... You know, I mumbled there. But, anywho, moving on. We can just take this in the face. If we miss one of these, that would be sad, but we can just handcuff too. If we missed one of those attacks, we wouldn't be able to handcuff. And off we go. So yeah, not much more to say. If you want to hear more about what I think about characters, let me know, because I can always change my mind. I might just end up saying something that was directly opposite of what I said in the past, but at least, if nothing else, don't let it be said that I can't change my mind. But as we finish this run here, yeah, there's nothing much else to say. It won't take up much more of your time. If you want to support me, subscribing always helps out. Keeping your ears and eyes open for anything I, make, whether it's a game, whether it's a story, whether it's a fun video that I do, that will always help out. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!